So we're going to be talking about the Indiana Fever's defense. The Indiana Fever's defense looked absolutely elite. It looked absolutely elite. And do you want to know what the funniest thing is? Is that Caitlin Clark is actually leading the WNBA in defensive win shares. Caitlin Clark is leading the WNBA. Again, it is the smallest sample size in history. But she is leading the WNBA in defensive win shares. And she is second in the WNBA in blocks. She's second in blocks and leading it in defensive win shares. Like, it is... That is the Minnesota Lynx. It is a crazy one. It is an absolutely crazy one. The top 3 players in defensive win shares are all from the Fever. Lexi Hull is tied again, second. But Caitlin Clark leading the WNBA in defensive win shares. Who would have ever guessed? Who would have ever guessed? And is this a way overreaction to one game? Of course it is. Of course it is. But like, I'm sorry. Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we overreact? If you guys think, if you guys agree, also subscribe. Subscribe if you guys think Caitlin Clark's now a lockdown defender. It would be great. It would be absolutely great if you guys could subscribe. We're trying to hit 47K by the end of this month. We have 10 days to do it. If we hit 46.2K by the end of the day, that would be insane. But like, the Indiana Fever's defense, like 3 steals and a block for Natasha Howard. 2 steals for DeWanna Bonner. How many steals did they get? Colson with 3. So 3, 5, 7, 8, 11, 13. They had 13 steals. They had more steals than turnovers. That's mad. They had more steals. Did they have more blocks than turnovers? I think did they have more? They might have more blocks than turnovers. 7, 8, 9. They had 10 turnovers, and okay, they only had 10 blocks. They had the same amount of blocks as turnovers. Same amount of blocks as turnovers and more steals than turnovers. And it is like just crazy. It's crazy with how they're playing defense. And the one thing with their defense is I don't know how I don't know how good the defense is going to be at stopping people. It is suffocating defense. Like, they were throwing bodies everywhere. They're kind of ultra pressure. And we saw that in the offseason. How much their defense was, again, it was like suffocating. Like, when they put pressure on teams, we saw it against the Dream. We saw it against the Mystics. And they could barely get past the halfway line. It is... Like, it's a tough one. It is a really tough one to say how they're going to get on against a team that can break the pressure and can abuse the pressure. But, like, it was... Like, you got Lexi Hull, she's a pest on defense. She's not a stopper, she's a pest. Sydney Colson's a pest on defense. Bree Turner is... Like, she did fine. She's a good player around the basket. She's going to get some boards. She's fine. Damaris Dantas. I think Damaris Dantas just didn't look up to it. Like, she hadn't played a game. She just didn't look up to the pace. Dantas is still a good player, though. Didn't look great in the game, but she's still a good player. And it'll be really interesting to see how Michaela Timpson gets on, because she's just a pogo stick. She's just an athlete in a pogo stick. Like, I think she doesn't look ready. But at the end of the day, does that really matter that much? If you're just a raw athlete, you can be fine if you're a raw athlete. Like, Kelsey Mitchell, defensively, fine. But Aaliyah Boston blocking shots like we've never seen before. 5 blocks. And then, obviously, look, DeWanna Bonner, Natasha Howard. Yeah, she's playing defense again. Natasha Howard does have a little bit of a problem with the defense, where she has an Alyssa Smith problem, where she kind of sometimes throws herself at a good defensive position to get a steal or a block. The difference is that she's actually good enough to get the steal or the block. But again, with certain referees, she would have been fouled out. But Caitlin Clark's defense was exceptional. It was exceptional. Like, she was guarding the pick and roll better. Like, the Fever team they actually have, like, I mean this, they actually have a philosophy on pick and rolls. They force middle pick and rolls. They ice every screen. They keep people on one side of the floor. They refuse every wing screen. It's great to see. They refuse wing screens. And they switch screens. They switch. I don't understand why more teams in the WNBA don't switch. There's not that many guards that can abuse a switch. Like, Sloot can't abuse a switch. Like, there are post players that will kind of dominate the inside. But, like, if you think that, but a lot of those post players don't have the aggression to abuse the switch. Like, why teams don't switch more? And the Fever have not the ability to switch. They switch a bit because Natasha Howard can kind of guard in the perimeter. DeWanna Bonner. And that's the thing we saw. Like, what I was saying, what I said happened. I said prior to the game that I was like, DeWanna Bonner on Sloot and then switching the pick and rolls could be extremely effective. And that's what they did. And they had no answer. They had no answer for DeWanna Bonner switching on to Angel Reese or Cardoso because they weren't going to bully DeWanna Bonner. And the same thing would happen when Sophie Cunningham comes back. When Sophie Cunningham comes back, this team is going to be even more dangerous on defense. They're going to be even more aggressive. Like, it's crazy. It's actually crazy. Like, how good the defense is from the Indiana Fever. And again, this is one game. And playing high pressure, suffocating defense can potentially lead to taking L's. It can potentially lead to taking L's, which is a little bit of a problem. And like it's something though. Like, it is so much better, and I mean this, it is so much better for a team to have a defensive philosophy. And I apologize about switching off. I was kind of reading chat and I'm live on stream. It is better for a team to have a defensive philosophy that is vulnerable than have no defensive philosophy at all. Like, I would rather a team overly exert pressure, have certain defensive principles that might be vulnerable to a good offense, than go out and say, we want to hold teams under 84 points. Then have no idea of what you're doing on screens. Then just wing it. I would much rather see a team have a vulnerable, like, system than have no system. Because they don't have the personnel to just go out there and, quote unquote, as Christy Sides would say, get stops. They don't have the personnel to just go out there and get stops. So it is a really, really big thing for the Indiana Fever. And the Atlanta Dream is going to be a really weird matchup. But yeah, their defense has actually been has been elite. Absolutely elite so far.